feelings. And there are 4 styles of communication that you can see on page 22. There are 3 things that are different than the last. The 3 types of communication we're going to talk about first are not the best forms of communication, but they are very real. They are places we default to based on who we are and our upbringing. And the 4th one is where we're going for, which is assertive. So the first one, passive communication, can be described as avoidance, unwillingness to share thoughts and feelings. This passive style of communication means you hold things in. Now, it might stem from low self-esteem. It might stem from your upbringing, or it might even be well-intentioned, that you just don't want to hurt people's feelings. You're just pretty amiable and you don't want to put it out there. And so a passive person says, I don't want to say the wrong thing, I don't want to hurt you, and so they kind of keep things to themselves. Unfortunately, passive communication is a barrier to real intimacy and really being able to connect, because you're holding back part of who you are. Where do you want to go out to eat? I don't care. You know, maybe you don't care at that time, but if you never care and it's always like, oh, I don't know, whatever, then you're not really engaging because of fear of rejection or because you just don't want to ruffle the feathers. On the flip side, you've got aggressive communication, which is partner dominance. Aggressive communication is very blaming and accusatory. This is where we get a lot of the expressions of, you never do this, you always do that. It's usually putting blame on the other person. When one person feels like the other person is completely responsible for it all, they get very aggressive. When people communicate aggressively, they're often trying to hold other people responsible for things that might have been their fault. Also, aggressive is very negative because it focuses on the bad things of the person instead of the situation. So you messed that up. Instead of, that situation didn't go right, that's not the way it should have been, I hated that we were late. Instead, it's, you made us late. You did this, and then we were late. That's the person instead of the circumstance. The circumstance is, it's not good to be late. It doesn't feel good to me to be late. The aggressive person says, you made us late. Then you get the mix that's very stereotyped. You hear this sometimes, it's a true counseling or clinical term, passive aggressive. Passive aggressive people are avoidance, but they're also partner dominating. So people with passive aggressive communication start out that they're withholding how they feel, maybe for good intentions. They don't want to ruffle feathers, but they're withholding what they really think, and then later it comes out very aggressively. And sometimes, I'll just point out that it comes out aggressively not about that exact issue. It could come out aggressively in another way because they feel like they're being stifled. They feel like they're not able to be who they are, to communicate what they think. And so it comes out some other way. They want to avoid conflict, but in the end, they end up getting the dagger in because they are not being able to be real. All of these are leading up to the better form, the form